Hey everyone, it's Kleinicus here with my Let's Play of one of the scenarios from the City Skylines Natural Disasters DLC. In the last episode, we started out our town here, Tornadoville, and unfortunately twice it was taken over by twisters. So in this episode, we're hopefully going to rebuild what you can clearly see has been destroyed from those tornadoes, and hopefully get ourselves a disaster response unit, because that'll help us with the rebuilding efforts that will unfortunately keep occurring as the scenario progresses. So right now we're in a pause state as everything's kind of gone to crap right now. So the first thing we're going to do is try and rebuild some of the services that are going back to our city. So just taking a look here, it looks like we've got, we still got our water waste going out. We'll need a new water intake, so I'll get that built back up. Oh, space already occupied. There we go, we'll just build a new one there and build some pipes to it. There we go, that looks good, and we'll get rid of the old one too, because it's no longer needed. Once we get the disaster response unit, or rather, if we can get to that point, a lot of this process of rebuilding will become automated, so that'll make this a little bit easier for us. Alright, so there's the first one taken care of. I'll just start playing it here. And as you can see, obviously all of our electricity was taken out. Luckily, we've still got our 2 coal processing plants that didn't hit over here on our side of the city. But all of the wind turbines were taken out. So I think I'm actually going to remove all of these wind turbine the rubble here. And we're actually just going to, I'll take the other one out as well, and we'll just focus on coal for now. Once we have a bit more infrastructure built up, we might be able to then get our city running off with some more of the green electricity. Okay, so unfortunately I can't reconnect you either. Once it's destroyed, unfortunately you can't reconnect it in, so I'm just going to have to destroy all of these here manually. There we go, just 1 second. Alright, there we go. So that's all taken care of. And now let's get our electricity back to the city. Here we go. With that, everyone should be good. Oh, actually, you know what? It might be a good idea as well to put on a second connection right here. There we go, just in case one of the first connections gets destroyed in, well, any of the further events that happen in the city. That will hopefully mitigate any of the losses we take on that. Alright, so it looks like the entire north end of our town was destroyed, so let's get our bulldozer out. You know, we're going to pause this as well, because there's no point in having it run right now. Alright, it's going to take a quick second here to start rebuilding everything here. It's unfortunate too, because last time the twister looked like it wasn't going to actually hit our town, but as you can see, it definitely did. So I think we may have to reconsider how we're laying out all of our city. Maybe get a bit more spread out, or not all clumped in one area. Hopefully not have one swoop of a twister come along and take everything out. There we go. Alright, well, we can at least focus on this first half I've got here. Let's rebuild up some of these roads here. Let's see, what are you again? You are the... Oh, right, elementary school. Okay, so that's a good service to have there. We'll build you down all the way here. Try and get a road connecting this way. If I recall correctly, we sort of had rectangles going on, so I'll try and reproduce that as best as possible. Unfortunately, because our town will inevitably be hit multiple times and rebuilt up from the ground, the design and the flow of the city will almost certainly keep changing. But I'll try my best to keep it as consistent as possible, just so everything sort of makes sense as we're logically building it out over time. Alright, so let's get you here for some roads. Alright, this seems pretty good right now to at least get some people back in. Unfortunately, we lost about half our population, so we're going to have to rebuild all of these residential. There we go. Let's get you all nice and green again, so you're residential zoned. Alright, and now it looks like our money right now is still about negative 500 as the weekly change. It's going up a little bit, but hopefully as more people move in here, we'll be able to get that a bit higher, because one of the conditions for losing, of course, is to have minus 30,000 money in the game. So hopefully we don't get to that point at least. Alright, so everyone seems to be rebuilding. Okay, people are moving back in, so everything seems alright. While that's going on, I'll then focus on demolishing the other half of the northern part of town that is currently in shambles. Oh, that was... There we go. Actually, here, we're going to pause you again. Sorry, line of traffic here. We're driving along Garland Street, and all of a sudden the road in front of you disappeared. Honestly, if I was a driver, I'd be kind of scared of that happening too. But let's see, we'll pause this now, make sure that we're not interfering traffic too much. Oh, I destroyed someone's good property. Well, congratulations, you're getting a new house. It's be a lot easier once we have that disaster response. Okay. So, while everything is in this state, let's just quickly redo our one-way roads here. Pop it up to the top. Get our other one-way road going this way. That reconnects all the buildings we had there. There we go. And we'll get ourselves over this way. Come on. Oh, there we go. That's good. Alright, so let's make sure that that works out for everyone. Let's see. Looks like there's no needs or errors popping up right now. Awesome. Okay, let's refill some of this out with residential as well. Actually, I think we might even want to... No, actually, I think we're good as we are for now. That should be enough residential area to cover off everything we need at this time. Okay, so going back to our basic needs at the bottom, it looks like we still need some commercial. So let's get some more in here, actually. I'll convert this area from residential down to commercial. Because, I mean, optionally you want to try and keep your zones relatively consistent around each other. That helps later on when you start getting some districts going, and make sure that any of the policies you apply to the districts are then better affected if the similar type buildings in each industry are around each other. Okay, so you guys are building back up, and it looks like our needs are pretty good. So hopefully we can get enough city growth. Oh, what's going on here? Crime rate is high. Now, why would the crime rate be high right now if almost no one has anything right now in our town? Because it was all destroyed. Alright, let's go to here then. Nope, that's health. Let's see. Emergency services. Fire. Oh, police. There we go. Security. Okay, so... that's why. So it was our police station that was also destroyed. So I'll just put in a new one. Actually, you know what? We might be a little large, so I think we're going to do two different ones. So we have one here on the east side of town, and we'll also do a second one up here on the west side of town. Now, as we get our city larger, we will unlock larger buildings as well, such as the police headquarters, prisons, police helicopter depot. That will all have larger radii, and so that'll make it a bit easier as we go forward. Alright, they're going to hopefully take care of all of that was going on there. Okay, so how is everyone doing from a happiness perspective? Okay, some people are a little miffed right now. I would be too, honestly. What are you complaining about? Low land, okay. Low land value. Hang on just a second, Manor residents. You moved into a town called Tornadoville, and you watched as a tornado destroyed literally all of your neighbors. And now you're complaining that there's a low land value. You're not very smart. Alright, well hopefully as we start building up a couple of new things, public services, some parks and all of that, that'll increase the... Oh, there we go. They heard my little speech and they're happy now. Okay, so actually what do we have in terms of parks right now? So it looks like we've got a couple of parks available to us, and I think maybe having a playground or something for a lot of the kids, children that are growing up, might be a good idea. So I do have this one land patch here that's pretty open. That's pretty central, so I think that'll work out nicely. Just see what the effects are there. Yep. Oh. Alright, yes, we're seeing that people's buildings are turning from red to brown. Oh, there's fire going on, I thought it said there. Oh, fire department took care of it. Excellent. And what are you? You are abandoned. Okay, so this is, unfortunately, what happens. In the previous episode, we had mentioned that as buildings evolve and become higher levels, they require more and more services and resources, such as higher education employees, more access to transportation, more access to customers, and so forth. So, unfortunately, it looks like this building did not have its needs met, so it is abandoned. Now, we can either leave it there, and it will rebuild itself over time as the need arises, or we can get rid of it right now. When they are abandoned, they do actually have a negative impact on land value. So I'm going to delete it for now, and then we'll come back to that plot later on if we need more commercial area. Speaking of which, our commercial needs are back up again, so I'm thinking it's time we take a look at that. So right now we've got two city blocks worth that are commercial, and I'm thinking it might be a good idea to maybe get them a little bit closer to, here we go, get a little bit closer to the industrial section, because that'll help with transporting goods from those factories into the commercial zone. So I'm just going to build a couple more roads here, and I think we should be good. Alright, buildings are moving in, we should be good. Presidentially, sweet. Okay, so let's take a quick look at some more of our needs again to make sure everything's alright from our last destruction. Healthcare is good, levels are good, wind is good, traffic is generally good it looks like. I think we're going to have some problems here, mainly at this intersection, as it looks like that's evolving into our primary crossroads for our city. Not too bad so far though, because our population's pretty low, but I think at some point we'll have to come back and revisit that. Pollution, oh dear. Alright, well, okay, this makes sense. It's kind of localized to our industrial section, so that's not too bad overall. Noise pollution, also not too bad for most of our citizens. Fire safety. Alright, so we've got right now, oh, that's right, we had the one firehouse on the far side. I think we're going to sort of mimic what we had with the police as well and get a second one over here. Let's pop it up there. That way everyone's decently covered. Unfortunately, with how tightly compact everything is, one fire could spread to multiple buildings, and we definitely don't want to see that happening. Especially if we already have enough environmental disasters to take care of. Okay, other than that, everything looks to be pretty good. For the time being, I think we're pretty good. We just have to wait for our city to evolve to the point where we can start buying new services. So, let's take a look and see what we have in terms of some landscaping and how we can make everyone a little bit happy. We've got some other parks here we could do. I could do a basketball court, actually. People might like that. Sure, why not? We've got a pretty good subdivision starting over here, so I think we could get some people a basketball court. Let's just see how we can place it to. There we go, get right there next to most of our homes. That should help with people getting a... Yep, there we go. That looks pretty good, actually. People can go there, play some hoops. That'll be good. What else can we do for our citizens? We've got... Oh, plaza with trees. Okay, this might be interesting, actually, to put into one of our larger commercial zones. Let's see here. With it. Oh, that's actually pretty small. I thought it would be a lot larger. Sure, why not? Let's actually put it right there, because that'll hit up a lot of our commercial zone, and the southern area of our residences here. Yeah, there we go. People can start going to it, start using it. Huh, that's interesting. It looks like there are no traffic lights and no stop signs at this intersection. Or at any intersection. Okay. Yeah, nope, people are getting run over. That's alright. Alright, well, when we start looking at traffic more in a little bit, we may want to consider looking at some traffic lights and stop signs to help with the flow of traffic. Because right now we're still doing pretty good, I think. Alright, let's speed things up a little bit to try and get some more citizens in here. Okay, actually our money's going positive as well, so that's good. Alright, let's see. We've got education. So education, we've still got enough for our elementary schools. High school, we're still good. University, we don't need. Public library. Well, you know what? We do have a lot of money with us. We're in the positives. So sure, let's look at putting in a nice public library here. The only issue is that I've kind of built up the middle area right now, and that's where we would want to be, sort of central. So I think if we put it right there, that's the closest we can get. Yeah, and people are pretty happy with it, it looks like, so that's good. Alright, we're pretty good so far. So I think it's 1,900. Oh no, it's much more than that. Yeah, it's 2,600 citizens, so we're getting there. I'm really hoping that the disasters hold off for just a little bit so we can get to that point. But I'm expecting that my luck is not that good. So we'll see how it goes. Ooh, why are you guys all going down? What do you need? What do you need? Not enough workers? Well, we've got citizens coming into here. I'm not sure why. Not enough workers, not enough workers. Okay. Well, I guess we need to then try and jack up our residential zone. Oh, yeah, actually, looks like that all of our areas here have been filled up. So let's add in a few more. That's the one downside I found, is that it seems that the draw that the commercial zone needs in terms of its workers is more than what the equivalent size of a residential can supply. So, unfortunately, that's one of the traps I usually fall into, is that I overbuild the commercial zone, and then everything seems to break down and not have enough workers. Hopefully we can get enough citizens in here without building out anything further to keep in some of those buildings. Otherwise, we're going to run into this building problem here, where it just, unfortunately, gets abandoned. Oh, well, at least they're happy that they got abandoned, or that they were destroyed. Okay, well, we seem to be doing pretty good so far. Let's see here. So we were looking at some more beautification items. I'll slow it down a little bit for this. So there's not a whole lot right now in terms... Oh, hello, we could build a winter market in the city that seems to never actually have snow or weather. I do actually have the DLC downloaded that would give us snow and all of that, but unfortunately it's not like a season effect. So either your town is completely in snow, or it is completely not in snow. So in this case, I don't think the winter market really makes a whole lot of sense for our town, but we could definitely do with a Statue of Liberty. Now, that being said, it's 210k to build, and I think we could probably put our tax dollars to better use. We're not going to build that right now. We could do a stadium, though. Cost a little bit less. Alright, so the one thing that I really like to do is all of the terraforming. And so this will help us build out some pathways that cyclists and pedestrians can use rather than walking on city sidewalks. In addition, we can also turn them into sort of pseudo parks that'll have some flowers and trees, which can help out with some of the noise pollution, as well as make the city look, well, kind of pretty, to be honest. So let's see, we've got some bicycle paths we can do, we've got pavement paths, and we've got gravel paths. Well, unfortunately, because of how I've sort of laid out the town right now, there really isn't a whole lot of area that we could build out as a pathway or a park. We could possibly do it down this middle strip here, but I think if we're starting to build the town, this will turn into larger lane roads, which will just destroy what we built up. So probably not a good idea. So I'm thinking that if we start pushing down south a bit, which we'll inevitably have to do, that we might want to, at that point, consider looking at some pathways. So for now, I think we'll hold off on that. But some trees. You know what? Let's get some trees going down the center here, because really, we could do with a little bit of beauty down here. We've got small trees, medium trees, and large trees. Oh, that looks nice as a nice pine tree. That's not bad at all, to be honest. All right, you know what? Let's do a line of pine trees. Oh, okay. Apparently, you're gonna be really small now. Guess it randomizes the size and the shape and all of that. So that's pretty good. At least it's not uniform. 1, 2, 3. There's some more there. We'll just build over top of those. Now, I do realize that I am making a horrible decision in terms of a fire hazard, because if one of these trees catches on fire, gets struck by lightning, all of these are going down. But you know what? For now, that looks pretty darn good. It might not be much, but hey, you know what? When you're living in Tornadoville, every little bit helps. Okay, so our need for residential has gone all the way back up. You need water, hang on. Wait, why do you need water? Oh, yes. So if you recall in the last episode, I'd mentioned how the distance the pipe is from the source, so from the lake here, or from the river, sorry, is that'll affect the pressure. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Seeing how the pipes here actually fade in terms of their color, that means that there's not enough pressure making it out there. And so while I'm giving my long-winded speech, our poor citizens out there are dying of thirst. So let's just get rid of that distance there. So it looks like the tornado destroyed the pipes, and so it was going all the way around. Actually, I'll even build here too, just to make sure that it's a nice grid network. Because obviously we want to keep distances as short as possible. Now, you guys over there also seem to be having the same issue. Oh, it's also because we just don't have enough capacity. All right, so from a capacity standpoint, we can either build more of these intakes and outflows, or if we head over to our economy tab, we can take a look at some of our city's budget, and we could increase it based on our city services funding and budget amounts. So right now it looks like we're actually working at a 70% rate. I believe this rate is just what the game started at. I haven't changed these yet. So I'm going to bump this up to 100%, get us back to the normal operating rate, which should also help with a little bit more of our capacity. There we go. If we want to, we actually could increase it up to about 150%. That would obviously cost us more on an operating basis, but would save us the space from having to build out a second or a third source system. Alright, so you guys are good. It's just raining lightly, not too bad. Let's build some more subdivisions. Alright, let's see here. So right now we've got sort of a square system going on. Alright, let's do this. We're going to make up another rectangular area. I'm going to build it all the way across and down. Oh, that's not quite, oh, that's alright. Not quite a 90-degree angle, but we're alright. Go. I think we're just going to have a couple more interlacing roads, just like before. Oh. Alright, I've definitely messed this up, so the roads are not going to be quite parallel, but I'm sure we can excuse that for now. I realize how boring this must look from just a parallel road standpoint, so we'll add in a couple more streets just heading north-south to get us a little bit more access in terms of services. There we go. This will become an absolute traffic nightmare if people are moving around all of these stop signs, but for now, that's not our concern. Let's grab in some more residential area. There we go. People are moving in like crazy, and we're almost at our next threshold for getting our disaster response unit. Once we have that, we can finally start worrying a little bit less about the city in terms of the disasters, and finally start building it. Alright, speed it up again to try and get us to that point. We're almost there. Alright, we're down to, oh, Boomtown. Alright, so now we've unlocked another area that we could expand our borders to. We've also got some transport for buses, unique buildings. We could also have some ferries, buses, tram, taxi, and a bunch of new policies as well. Okay, and some new road types, and new pipes. Oh, water pipe with heating pipes. That's interesting. And some new buildings as well. So we've got some taxi depots, so for all of our transportation, cemeteries, medical helicopters. Ooh, toll booths. There we go. We can start charging people to ride on our one road. Tank reservoirs, ferry piers, short mast radios, emergency shelters. Okay, so this is exactly what we want now. Is we want to look at some of our emergency shelters, which people can then move into when there's an alert going out, as well as the disaster response unit, which will allow citizens to, will allow individuals to go out and rebuild the city once it's destroyed. So alright, let's do that right now. So let's see here. So first, our disaster response unit. Nice. Okay, so this is actually quite a large building, so we need an open area for it. I'm thinking it's probably best we build it on the one side here, because that will keep it relatively in access for all of the zones we currently have around it in terms of our roads and our other infrastructure that we're going to build going forward. So there we go. We'll place it there, right next to the basketball court that I'd completely forgotten about. There's nothing I like to see more when I go play a game of basketball than a massive disaster response unit right next to my game. Alright, unfortunately, it's a little, you know what? It's going to cost me money to move either one of those, so it's going to stay like that. Wait, why do you need water? Right, pipes. Here we go. Get you some pipes there. It's always a constant need of what people want in this town. Alright, so disaster response unit, so no vehicles in use right now. We can do 10, and 3 helicopters in use as well. Awesome. So when the next disaster hits, those guys will work in action to get everything fixed for us. Now, unfortunately, if this building gets destroyed, that kind of makes that point null and void. Also, I'm horrendously sorry, Chester residents, because you are now currently staring at one of the largest monstrosities in this town right now. But you're happy, so it's fine. Awesome, so you got that going, so that keeps us safe from that perspective. So we also had a couple more things as well to look at. Okay, so small emergency shelter. So it's got a capacity of 1,000, which means that 1,000 citizens can move into it when there's an alert put out. And it also looks like, so we've got about 3,000 citizens. Now, that number will probably increase. Well, I mean, it should increase. So we'll put out 3 for now, but we can also get more in there later as we go forward. Actually, no, we'll do 4 just to keep it sort of symmetrical on all sides. There we go. Okay, so now whenever there's an alert called out, citizens should move to those 4 emergency shelters and then be able to be saved from any sort of disasters that are happening. There we go. They're being supplied right now with food, water, and power. Okay, so I've got to actually indicate that there's an evacuation going on. But that's alright. We can take care of that when there's a disaster coming up. Alright, you know what? We're not too bad right now. We're starting to thrive here. We've still got a couple of destroyed buildings here that we're going to get rid of. No need to see those. Awesome, our town is looking pretty good so far. Also, I am mildly surprised that there has not been a disaster happening, because last episode there were 2.5-hour session, and now there are none. Which maybe concerns me, because that might mean it's building up to something. Alright, so that's what we were doing before. Oh yes, now that we have our new sort of subdivision area up here, let's take a look at some of these pathway options that we've got. It's not going to do much right now, but it will help us starting out a network for bikers, pedestrians, etc. to use. Now, personally, I like the look of the pavement paths, but I can also accept that there's a nice aesthetic with the gravel paths. So I think for now we'll keep it with the pavement paths. So just an example here, I'm going to place it like that. Okay, perfect. So when we're snapping it, it should connect relatively easily. The one thing I find, though, is that usually when I'm placing these pathways, I like to keep it on the freeform mode rather than the straight pathways and snapping. Just because otherwise you might run into the issue that you're overlapping pathways or you're running into buildings that otherwise you might be able to work your way around if you weren't snapping to everything. Okay, so there we go. So how exactly would people want to move through this town? See, I'm imagining that people would want to go from their homes up here all the way down to the commercial area so they can go buy any sort of groceries. So I'm thinking, unfortunately we've got a lot of buildings here, and I really don't want to get rid of our citizens' homes, because unfortunately that'll just push them out and we'll be back to square one. So maybe it's not quite the right time to do that yet, so that's alright. Either way, we've still made leaps and bounds by getting in that disaster response unit and the emergency shelters, so I think we're good right now. Oh, I misunderstood what this was. For a second, I thought I'd be able to build something that would protect against tornadoes or earthquakes, sinkholes, whatever. No, turns out that I can actually cause these to happen. Because apparently I don't like my city. So I could just say, hey, tornado, start right there. We're definitely not doing that right now, but maybe if our city gets going really good and we want to have some entertainment, maybe in a later episode we'll do that. For the meantime, probably not a good idea. Okay, so disaster services. So we built our disaster response unit, we've got our emergency shelters, we've got a short mast radio we can build, and that looks like it's it. Okay, here's the items I was thinking of earlier, actually. So the earthquake sensor, the buoys, weather radar, and the deep space radar. All of those will give us more information and more warning time when it comes to their respective types of disasters. Now, once those disasters are indicated, noted, etc., the short mast and the long mast radios can then distribute that information to the town, which can trigger them to then evacuate into their emergency shelters. So that's sort of how the cycle works, which means that really we should be building our short radial masts right now. So if we zoom out, you can actually see that there's a fairly large radius of area that's covered by these radial masts. And actually it doesn't snap to anything, so you don't need to have it like next to a road or anything. You can literally have it in the middle of a field, which is probably not a bad idea. You'll also notice, maybe not right now, but when we start building out our city, tall buildings, tall trees, mountains, all of those sort of large, either man-made or natural structures will block the radio signals, and you'll have to build around that. So let's just put it in here for now. That way we're covering off all of our sound. Yeah, so there we go. You'll see that if you're super close to the radio mast here, with the sort of the turquoisey blue color, then you've got like the best signal strength, the best coverage, and so you're getting the message pretty quickly. And then building out, of course, you see that it goes greens to yellows to almost nothing. That means that those areas are less covered. Now, actually, I'm kind of surprised because it looked like it was a bit better coverage than what was showing before. So I think I'm actually going to do a second radio mast over here in the top just to get our northern citizens covered off. There we go. Oh, that was the radius of the happiness that was caused by that. That's why it wasn't going all the way. Okay. There we go. Okay, so it looks like for now we've got our town pretty well covered off. But we do need to provide electricity to this one down here. So let's do that real quick. There we go. You should be good now. Let me make sure you're good before I say that. Alright, you're good. Okay, so right now our town seems to be pretty protected from any sort of disasters that might happen. I'm just taking a quick look. Oh, we've actually got another problem down here. So what's going on here? A dead person is waiting for transport. Okay. That's probably not how I would have phrased that, but it appears we've got a dead person who's waiting for our city services to come by and pick them up. Oh, that's because we unlocked the graveyards, or sorry, the cemetery. Now, what's kind of interesting with this game is that as you build out your city, you unlock more and more of these city service type buildings. Up until the point that these buildings are unlocked, the buildings and the citizens don't need those services provided. So, for example, up until the point that we unlocked the cemetery, no one needed the death care services. Now that it was unlocked, the need for that has arisen in the town, and so now we have to build it. Kind of an odd logic, because that kind of means that in any town that is less than 2,700 people, no one dies. So that's interesting, but nonetheless, we will put it somewhere nice. Now, I think from an aesthetics point, we probably don't want to have it right when people enter the town. Probably not a good first image when your name is Tornadoville, seeing a massive graveyard when you enter the town. So I think we're going to put that on the north end of... Oh, it just fits in there, so I think we found ourselves a good spot. You know, yeah, that spot's as good as any up there, so I think that's making everyone happy. Awesome. Okay, so that should now take care of some of the death care. We should be good. So I think this is probably a good stopping point for us for this episode. We've been able to secure our city's well-being with any natural disasters that will be coming up. We built out our disaster response unit. We've got our emergency shelters, which can cover off 4,000 people. And we've got our network of radio masts all set up to bring out those messages to the town. So in the next episode, we might find that there's a couple more disasters that come by, and we'll also start building out our roads to push further north, across the river, and maybe into a second plot of land. So that's all for now. Thank you again for watching this video. If you did like the content, please give it a like down below. Maybe leave a comment or suggestion if you have any. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see future content like this. Thanks everyone for watching,